Hello, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to another Through the Fire Backyard Reflection. Okay, let's get right to it. So, in the readings this week in the church, it starts off with a quote from Genesis, where it says, "It is not good for man to be alone." Okay, right there, we have a whole lot. Right there, God is ordaining the establishment of family. We know how the story goes. We know that God, after seeing that Adam needed a suitable companion, bringing all the animals before him, found none of them to be suitable. I just have to ask, did it bring a dog in front of him? Because usually dogs are really good companions, but even so, that's not suitable for men. And let's face it, we know this to be true. I kind of wondered to myself, was really the reason why God went through the trouble of creating woman was simply because he was tired of listening to Adam ask him where he put stuff? So it's like, let me create woman so that he could start pestering her. But I digress. Getting serious. This whole week has to do with how important the domestic church is, how important family life is, and how important marriage is. And we need to take a look at that. And so the church did a document back in the year 2000. So we're not talking about like 500 or 1,000 years ago. In 2000, the Pontifical Council for the Family wrote a document called Family, Marriage, and De facto Unions. And in item 24, it says, marriage and the family are a social good of the first order. And then in item 25, it says, the family, a natural society, exists prior to the state or any other community and possesses inherent rights which are inalienable. Where do we hear that word from? Of course, we hear that from the Declaration of Independence. Inalienable rights. That means it doesn't come from government, it comes from God Himself. And so the family is absolutely a priority that needs to be defended, that needs to be protected in the world today. Guys, are we doing that? Are we living up to our responsibility to be protectors of our families? Ladies, are you living up to your responsibility to be that support, to be that calming voice, to be that steadfast security and source of compassion in the family? The domestic church actually does, or is intended to, be a reflection of the heavenly wedding banquet. And so when we look in Ephesians 5, and we have to read the entire chapter to really gather the true meaning. As Christ is the head of the church, so the husband is the head of the family. But it doesn't stop there. Yes, it talks about that wives should be submissive to their husbands, but it doesn't stop there. It goes on and on and on and talks about the structure of family and how as men, as husbands, as fathers, we are to sacrifice the way Jesus sacrificed for the church. And how did He do that? He voluntarily went up on that cross. And so as Christ is the head of the church, the husband is the head of the family, which means the wife embodies the church. So as Jesus is the bridegroom, the church is the bride. And so we mimic that in our lives. Now, guys and gals, husbands and wives, fathers and mothers, are we doing it the way we should be doing it? Are we living up to that? If we're not going to truly believe, if we're not going to act out in an ordinary way what we read and what we profess to believe, if we're not going to do that, then the consequences will have a ripple effect, not just within our own family life, but being that the family is the primary and starting block of every other community. So as the family go, so does the community, so does the nation, so does the world. It begins with the family. It begins with us fully living out our role as husbands, fathers, wives, mothers, and imbuing that into our children, letting our children see what exactly is it that makes up a good father husband. What exactly is it that will make up a good mother wife? This way, as our children grow, they know what they're looking for because they saw it at home. So my brothers and sisters, every single day that we go forward, it should be an opportunity for us to look at the difference between virtue and vice in how we're living our lives and what is acceptable within our homes and within our families. Instead of greed, we should be seeking charity. Instead of lust, we should be seeking chastity. Instead of sloth, we should be seeking diligence. Instead of pride, we should be seeking humility. Instead of envy, we should be seeking kindness. Instead of wrath, we should be seeking patience. And instead of gluttony, we should be seeking temperance. This is the difference between order and disorder. This is the difference between living a life of virtue or a life of vice. And if we want the best for our children, if we want the best for our home life, if we want the best for our marriage, this is how God is calling us to live. So my brothers and sisters, I thank you always, and I pray for you, and I ask you to pray for me. I ask you to support Through the Fire, Backyard Reflection, spread it around, share it with everyone you know. Also, I want to share with you that our radio show, Through the Fire, is going to be airing every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern with a rebroadcast of 5 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And so I ask you to check that out. Send emails to info@saltandlight.com for the radio station. And you could always send messages directly to us here at Through the Fire. You could send those messages at castingthe.net, castingthe.net. Till next time, Memento Mori.